It's no use. I think it's done talking to us. Let's take a look around.
That must mean there are like Dahnans or Renans here. Or are there other unique alien species that the Great Spirit of Rena has enslaved over time? Okay. So I think I called this earlier where I said, like, there must be a will of Rena that is, like, evil or something, but I thought that the will of Rena was, like, sealed in Xion or something, but the will of Rena might still be the thing sealed in Xion. I'm not sure how her thorns play a part in all of this still, to be completely honest. But, so the will of Rena is, like, the ultimate evil that is trying to, like, consume the will of Dahna, two great spirits, one of which has more control than the other and is trying to consume it. And the great spirit of Rena has, like, ravaged its own world with its hunger, which is crazy. The thing I'm most curious about right now is how these aliens take place. Are these guys... They take the form of red women, but it sounded like a dude. They refer to it as it, so whatever. But, are these lads inhabitants of Rena? Did they come from Rena? The craziest thing going in my head right now is what if the Helanquil or whatever are, like, they're the natural inhabitants of Rena, and the Renans are some kind of, like, offshoot of Dahnans or something? Or I don't know. Because, like, we've never seen a Renan on Rena, is all I'm saying. But you know, I'm very interested in how these aliens take apart. Are they like inhabitants of Rena? Are they from somewhere else? What the heck is going on with that? I gotta go see these others though, dude. Helgenquill, fruit of Helgen. Oh, that was the name of the fruit, wasn't it?
You can't seriously be buying anything that creature told us, right? I mean, it's practically blackmailing us into doing its dirty work.
To be honest, the conversation went on for so long, I'm not sure I understood all of it. How about you, Dohalim? Were you able to follow it at all?
At the very least, everything it said about the Renan Great Spirit adds up. At the end of the day, this whole chain of events comes back to astral energy. That being said, had we not previously encountered the will of Dahna, I suspect I would find its story much more difficult to believe.
The spirit of Rena wants to see Dahna completely destroyed.
But why? Astral energy is supposed to be a force that creates and shapes the world.
It doesn't matter. I don't care if we're up against an entire world or what its game is. We're not going to let it destroy Dahna.
Right.
There is one other thing that concerns me. How the Great Spirit, the Helgenquill, and the Crown Contest are all part of a centuries-long plan is clear enough. But what about the Renans? How do they factor into all this?
Now that you mention it, and all that talk, Hevric 35 never even brought up the Renans once. And as for the Helgenquill, we never did find out just what they are either.
Maybe it had a reason for keeping its silence. Or perhaps there's even more going on. Maybe the others will shed more light on the matter. Let's find out.
It's good to see the characters literally saying what I said moments ago. But yeah, the fruit, it was called the fruit of Helgen, wasn't it? I did not remember the name of the fruit at all. It just didn't come to me in the moment. So these Helgenquill are related to the fruit somehow. I wonder if the fruit is just something that they naturally eat, or maybe it comes from their planet if they have their own planet that isn't Rena, or maybe it comes from Rena. I got no clue. But I mean, we're gonna find out. Lower level. I'm really interested to see these others though. What could that even mean? Check around the room, make sure there's nothing else real quick before we go talk to whoever it is. Ooh, what's back here, huh? There's more space back here than I expected. It measures astral energy fluctuations in Dahna and Rena. Interesting, interesting. Dude, I'm really loving that they have, you know... It doesn't seem as common as the other, like, spirits that we know from the Tales of games. But the fact that it's, like, a great spirit that is turning out to be the ultimate evil is super neat. I will say, I'll be a little sad if the Renan great spirit is, like, Shadow or something. You know, the known spirit of darkness from the Tales of lore. I'll be a little upset because I really love the spirits in Tales of lore, and I love seeing them in different incarnations. And they're... as far as I can remember, they're like never evil. They're always like either ambivalent or good guys, pretty much. There was Kronos, I believe was his name, from Tales of Xillia 2, and he was an antagonist, but he was also like, he wasn't a common one. You don't normally, I don't think Kronos has shown up in any of the other games that I have played, only in Xillia 2 as like the spirit of time or whatever. And even then, he was like, you know, he was an antagonist against us, but it was for good reason, and then he was like a good guy in the end or whatever. These are Daeq Faezol construction plans showing a central elevator shaft and multiple circular areas. Cool, cool. All right, who's this other? Oh, just people.
Who are they?
What is it?
Oh, my apologies. It's just been so long since I've seen any humans from the outside world.
Are you a Renan?
Oh, yeah, I guess so. The Overseer told us to answer any questions you might have. Whatever you want to know, we'll tell you as much as we can. But be quick. Our subjects are undergoing a dramatic shift that we don't want to miss.
I guess so.
What a weird guy.
He must have meant Hevrecht 35 when he mentioned that Overseer.
And what was that about subjects? You don't think he meant Dahna and Rena, do you?
He must
There
have.
isn't anyone else we can talk to. I guess we should ask around here.
That must have been what he was talking about, was Dahna and Rena. I'm starting to think Renans are not, like, actually a thing. They're somehow Dahnans, or just humans in general. Which, I mean, Renans and Dahnans both refer to each other as humans. But every Renan we've ever met says they've never been to the homeworld. They don't know what it's like at all. Nothing about it. They only know Lenegis. And the fact that the Hevrecht species, the Helenquill or whatever they were called, I've already forgotten the name entirely, exist, I think, and they say that they're, like, ruled over by the Great Spirit. They've got to be, like, the actual denizens of the Renan homeworld, and then the Renans are just something made up. Maybe some Dahnans from way back in the day who were turned into Renans or something. But then there's still the thing about Renans having dark energy and Dahnans having light energy, and that obviously still matters because they specifically, when what are they called again? It was in chat. Helgenquill. When the Helgenquill were trying to do the spirit channeling ceremony with Lenegis, they specifically denoted that they needed a Renan and a Dahnan. So there's some kind of distinction between those two that actually matters. It's not that they can just be the same thing. Something has to make them different. Dude, my curiosity knows no bounds. It appears to maintain constant monitoring to ensure nothing approaches Daeq Faezol. All right, cool, cool. Well, let's start talking.
Have you guys lived up here in Daeq Faezol with Hevrecht 35 for a long time?
Yes. I couldn't tell you off the top of my head just how long it's been, though. We regularly go into stasis, so our sense of time has gotten rather out of whack over the years.
Why are you all even here in the first place?
Originally, this station was where we worked to perform maintenance on Lenegis from the outside.
We heard that the facility ended up in its current location due to an accident.
Oh, it was terrible. Apparently there was some kind of accident, and when help never arrived, they presumed the entire facility had been destroyed.
And you've been working for Hevrecht 35 ever since?
Well, at first we thought that there was nobody else inside the facility, but then it turned out the Overseer was there all along.
What do you mean?
The Helgenquill have the technology to cloak themselves around us Renans. As long as they don't do anything obvious, a Renan won't see one, even if it's right in front of them.
Knew it.
Which would explain why Shion and I failed to notice the Red Women previously. Do they employ an astral art of some sort?
I haven't been able to scientifically confirm it for myself, but from what I understand, the type of cloaking they use is primarily achieved through mechanical means. In addition, they also used hypnosis devices and information control to get us to do what they wanted without being detected. It's a pretty sophisticated operation, especially since it avoids any unnecessary conflict. I have to imagine that's how Lenegis is still run.
But aren't the Helgenquill themselves controlled by the Great Spirit? If so, why aren't Renans affected by it in the same way?
The Great Spirit's mind control only works on Helgenquill, so they had to employ other means to manipulate us Renans.
You act like this didn't affect you personally. If I was you, I'd be mad as hell at their deceptions.
I mean, sure, I was surprised when I first found out about it, but it happened so long ago.
Hevric 35 has clearly ceased concealing itself, though. Why is that?
Who can say? My guess is it just got bored, or maybe even a little lonely.
Don't you want to go back home to Rena or Lenegis? Our ship is going to be fixed pretty soon. You could ride with us.
No way. If we went back after knowing the truth, they'd either just brainwash us or purge us outright. After all this time, there's nothing to be gained from going back. We've all agreed it'd be best to simply stay here and watch everything unfold instead. Things are going just fine with the Overseer. Not that it'll be around much longer. It can't extend its life any further. That said, I'm sure it's pleased to see the final stage of the plan before it passes on, though.
Thank you for answering our questions.
Dude, this is such an incredibly neat chain of, like, brainwashing and control, right? So, like, it's a 4-layer chain between 4 different species, basically. Okay, Kisara, calm down there. Top of the list, the Great Spirit of Rena, which has nothing controlling it. Second on the list, the Helganquil, which is controlled through brainwashing and mind control by the Great Spirit of Rena. Then, the Helganquil control the 3rd layer of hierarchy, which is the Renans, and they do it by being unseeable, minor brainwashing, and information control, like this lady just said. And then lastly, the 4th layer, the bottom of the ladder, you have the Daenons, who are controlled by outright slavery through multiple different methods by the Renan lords. So each layer controls and is controlled by another layer, except for the top and the bottom. The top is not controlled by any, and the bottom controls none. But otherwise, it's a never-ending cycle of control and being controlled, which is really, really cool. Oh, and awful and terrible, but also really cool. The Overseer and I have a lot of lively debates on a whole host of topics: politics, philosophy, science. What kind of politics do you guys debate up here? I always enjoy them. Our perspectives as members of different species are so unique that it makes for intellectually stimulating conversation. I have to imagine the Overseer enjoys them as well. They make for an excellent way to stave off the monotony and Daeq Faezol. Faezol, however you say it. All right, you're next.
Can we talk to you for a few minutes?
Sure. It's going to be a while before the 2 planets undergo their next shift, so I can talk until then.
Please, tell us what you know about the Helganquil.
You mean the Overseer's species? I can't say I know much about them.
Well, for starters, where'd they come from?
Where else? From Rena, obviously.
All right.
From Rena? Wait, are you telling us those things live right alongside the Renans down there?
Of course not. There's really no such thing as Renans in the first place.
Excuse me?
Oh, I thought the Overseer explained everything.
Apparently not.
Please, tell us more.
Well, in a nutshell, the Renans were originally created from Daenons by the Helganquil.
But if that's true, then that would mean there aren't any people on Rena.
There aren't, but there are Helganquil. That's what the name literally means in their language, people of Rena.
But what need could they possibly have to create a whole new race of people?
It was a way to bolster their dwindling workforce. I trust you're aware that the Helganquil are on the verge of extinction, yes? In essence, we were created to carry on their work for the Great Spirit after they all die. They gathered Daenons who had an affinity for astral arts and proceeded from there. That's why we, as their descendants, can all cast arts, albeit to varying degrees.
Let me get this straight. Are you saying Renans were originally created from Daenons that the Helganquil kidnapped?
Wait, that explains why almost nobody can use Astro Arts on Dahna now.
Helganquil technology is truly amazing. The way they alter their bodies is far less invasive than your conventional surgeries. They have these tiny machines that are practically invisible, which they insert into their bodies and...
Enough. You needn't tell us anymore.
How can you speak so calmly about all of this?
I guess I can see how, when viewed in a certain light, their ways may sound grotesque. But if you ask me, I think they ultimately did us a favor. They saved us from crawling the earth in ignorance. If it meant their hands had to get a little dirty in the process, then so be it. Anyway, the Helganquil are the real Renans. Personally, I don't think it's such a big deal. They're also mostly the ones behind what you see going on between the two planets. I think that covers just about everything worth knowing.
I see. Thanks for filling us in.
Does he really expect us to believe that Renans never truly existed? How absurd.
Dohalim.
Just when I think we're getting to the bottom of it all, some new revelation smacks us in the face.
Then let's hope this is our last revelation for a while.
So it's exactly as I thought. The Renans were some kind of an offshoot from the Dahnans and weren't actually the people of Rena in the first place. And that's why the Helganquil exist, is because they're not from some random planet somewhere. They are the original inhabitants of the planet Rena. It all makes sense. Dude, that is so awesome. Also, this guy's a scumbag. So they used like nanotechnology or something to change Dahnans who were good at wielding mystic arts to change like the kind of lineage that Rinwell came from into the Renan race, and then convince the Renan race by putting them all on Lenegis or on Dahna, convince them that they were originally from Rena, all while the Helganquil were walking around unseeable by the Renans they had created, influencing them to keep that way. That is crazy. How on earth are we gonna get all the Renans to believe that? Craftsmanship that the Helganquil display always astounds me, whether it's the Zeugles, us Renans, or anything else for that matter. Ah, so the Helganquil are also the ones who made the Zeugles, not actually the Renans. I have to imagine it will take Archon many generations before we'll arrive at their level of sophistication and expertise.